Hey everybody, it's Wit back with really what is part 3 of the ongoing series that I'm doing on Red Strings Club, which is the Devolver Digital developed project that is more or less mini games used to tell a sci-fi cyberpunk story, um, or at least the mechanics seem to be kind of mini game esque. There are like mini objectives throughout the game, but this is also a game where choices matter, um, which I have some critiques of how this game is handling choices in general. But I keep messing up the recording when I'm working on recording this video. The first time I didn't record, I recorded another hour basically of Red Strings Club. And then realized that I had only recorded my audio and not the game audio. And then I tried again, and then I happened to use the software to mute my audio while I was playing. So that's the video that you're looking at right now. That I am actually recording a voiceover, so that I can. I'm trying not to be a completionist about this. I'm not really doing this for followers. I'm doing this because I'm exploring these ideas and bringing them back to different things that I'm working on. But I do want to. One of the side effects, I guess, of me doing this is that I am paying more attention to what's going on. I'm reading more carefully. I'm taking in more careful consideration of the choices that I'm making during the game. I'm also not restarting it. I'm one of those people who generally, if especially when I'm not sure of the mechanics and how they're actually working, that I will restart if I felt like something ended in the way I wasn't like aiming for it to. And sometimes that can be as obsessive as when I was little, and reading Choose Your Own Adventures, and I marked every choice so that I could go back anytime that it ended. So that means that I'm actually having a more authentic experience when I'm playing these for narration, because you can't really keep restarting when number one, this game in particular saves all the time, and it does not let you restart. So there is some, protection there from me going ahead and restarting all the time when I feel like things don't go my way. But another aspect, the larger aspect of it, is that I'm having a more authentic experience playing the game because the stakes feel a little bit more real. And not in the sense that I feel like, honestly, that I can feel gutted because of the outcomes of certain experiences, and that allows me to experience the narrative as the writers intended. So, anyway, I've really been enjoying doing these voiceovers for these games. It's actually been helping kind of alleviate the loneliness of the pandemic, so I appreciate if you're watching, and if this does anything for you, please comment. And I know that at this moment, most everybody's just friends, but, and if you were curious, at the very beginning of this video, did I really go on for that long when I was starting this recording? And yes, I did. I had all sorts of intro that I was doing for you at that time. So this is one of the game mechanics that we keep coming back to, where anytime that we have an interview where we have this bartending session with somebody who comes in, we get this quiz from Akara, who is an android, they, them pronouns. I feel like that's kind of important, the way that they're playing with gender and sexuality in this. What's going on right now is essentially the end of the playthrough video that I'm not posting because it was literally just me talking. Larissa is the marketing director for this future Walmart-esque corporation called Supercontinent Limited. Larissa is probably one of the most interesting characters we've met so far in the game, and it's annoying that I don't have her on this part. And I could actually, honestly, just rip the audio from what we're doing right now so that the music, anyway, to match up with the other video so it's not so completely flat. But so it's asking about what is Larissa's predominant state. Now, this is the interesting thing about this bartending mechanic. If you watch the first video, you saw that you bartend to kind of match somebody's emotions. You use this special mix of liquors, and they're adding more and more layers to that device as we go. So, ice makes the changes the size of the node that we're trying to match, and if we get an exact match, then it's going to work perfectly. And there is a lot of trial and error when it comes to the mixing of things. So it's asking, what spirit does Larissa enjoy the most? All of these spirits have directions on them. So when I was playing to interview Larissa, the right side of her 4 nodes were like euphoria and lust. So those were definitely emotions that she was leaning into, and she was pretty pretty risque speaker or interviewee. And so when I was trying to judge, okay, which spirit did she like the most, I went with, okay, most of her positive emotions, because depression was on the other side and I can't remember the other. But euphoria and lust, those are on the right side, so I need to pick the liquor that is on the right side. And that, I think that was tequila, which kind of goes along with the stereotype about how tequila makes you feel. One of the more interesting things about the game is some of its philosophical writing, but it's definitely evident to me that there are at least two creative minds at work. And I'm not sure if that's the original writer and then an editor. I'm not sure if that's 2 writers. I'm not sure if that's one writer doing a rough draft and then coming back after doing some research and using more technical language to describe the philosophy that this is talking about. But it's really evident in these conversations to me that whatever is the philosophical aspect is really, really well written, kind of incredibly well written. And then there are the kind of ebb and flow of sci-fi, like any genre, any sort of genre writing, there's going to be really good writing, but most of it is going to be people kind of parroting what they think the tropes of that genre are. So there's going to be a lot of chaff, a lot more chaff than there is wheat. And in this game, it's fairly obvious to me that that's what I'm talking about when I say 2 different creative minds here. That there's definitely somebody who at some point knew what they were saying and was really clicking along that day. And then there's somebody else who's kind of giving the scaffolding of the story that feels like it falls more into these genre tropes. And the reason why there's this long pause in the dialogue is because I'm literally explaining this in the last topic of this video. So in the achievements for this game, you get achievements when you get 100% on these quizzes. So it's not an automatic 7 out of 10 thing. And I even changed my answer replaying that quiz and still came up with a 7 out of 10, which meant that I got it wrong both times. Okay, so here are the soul nodes again, and you can see that Delirium and Rebellion are the easy ones to hit as far as the size of the node goes. But the one that's actually hardest to hit in terms of having to mix the spirits, is the one in the top right, which I kind of missed what it was saying. And this is, of course, me failing to remember what order any of these spirits go in, and having to test them out literally every time I do this minigame. So I'm going for Rebellion. So my understanding of how the game is using the spirits in relation to these interview questions is that there are going to be certain states that people are more willing to answer certain questions than they would be in others. So if an interaction goes really badly, I'm getting these little kind of memory eraser pills from Akara that I can mix into their drink, and it can start the interaction over. But because they're dependent on how many quizzes or how many questions I get right in every quiz, that means that there's a limited supply. If I were to get under 7 out of 10 questions, I would not get the pill, which you can actually see there. If I remember correctly, I'm going for delirium. Minor annoyance is that you have to actually pour it into the glass you're going to serve to know how it's going to affect them, because if you pour it into the tumbler, it doesn't register. To shake it, it's literally just moving the mouse up and down, not even clicking any buttons. No shade to the game. I think it's an interesting mechanic, but it really does turn my stomach to imagine some of these liquors put together in one glass. Yeah, so between juvie and I've been away from my parents for 3 and 4 years. I've been paying rent and shit for more than a year with what I get from my jobs. Like, I'm guessing that he probably left around 16 or 17, and that more than a year now definitely makes him sound like he's not even 20. Which is why I choose $19. I felt really conflicted about this confrontation because I really don't know what the rules of the game are. So this felt maybe a little bit unfair as an interaction. But I already had some sort of inkling that Donovan is not human. So it felt like it wouldn't give me these options if it thought that the main character, who is in charge of one of the main mechanics of the game, was going to die. So I'm kind of betting here when I'm making choices. But it definitely doesn't feel like giving in to this guy is the best way to end this interaction. He's not the kind of person I want to owe a favor. It's also interesting that this interaction, the music is dropped out because it did heighten the tension quite a bit. It's a pretty easy choice not to choose torture. Irving is so far my least favorite character in this entire game. I'm kind of curious as to what use he'll have ultimately. So in the previous playthrough, which is not uploaded, Ghost came and introduced himself. Also seems to not be a real person, some sort of ethereal creature. And he brought me some spirits that Donovan had been, or Donovan requested some spirits that he had been looking for a long time, and Ghost has those. Fun fact, Maleficarum is the Latin word for witches. the addition of this arrow mechanic makes this pretty fiddly and a little frustrating. We were previously introduced to the name of Dr. Coldstream by Larissa, who told us in pretty interesting detail about how she slept with Dr. Coldstream and that he has only cybernetics below the waist. He is the director of the Akara program and is going to be behind the rollout of the update that hijacks everybody's augmentations. So after I mix Dr. Coldstream's drink, I will end this video here and then pick up with a shorter video with the conversation with Dr. Coldstream and then some of the more momentous events that happen immediately after this.